Hello all and welcome back. I hope everyone is doing fantastically. Some good news again to share today about Hedera, as there are some different breadcrumbs that appear to be forming, particularly as we ramp up towards the beginning of the World Economic Forum meeting in Davos. Anyway, let's jump into some of the macro news for the markets in general and take a quick look at Bitcoin. As many of you probably experienced over the weekend, your portfolios saw some new shoots of life and some green across the board, particularly as Bitcoin broke out from its key resistance and topped $17,000. So after staying in that range between 16,000-ish to sort of 17,000 for the last 3 weeks or so, Bitcoin and the majority of altcoins, particularly the blue chips, rallied on Sunday, breaching new resistances and followed up with additional gains on the Monday session. The move higher did actually come after the release of the US Labour Statistics report on Friday, which data showed lower unemployment levels than had previously been estimated. The US unemployment rate did fall to 3.5% in December, which is a decrease of 0.2 percentage points, while non-farm payrolls rose by 223,000 for the month, higher than expected. The data, widely watched by the Federal Reserve, appears to have fueled expectations that the central bank may ease monetary policy. And of course, the Fed has been aggressively raising interest rates in an attempt to rein in that high inflation, a talking point of many of my videos recently, a move that has been putting downward pressure on both the stock and cryptocurrency markets. And of course, that is because of that sheer positive correlation between the two different asset classes. Despite this, Bitcoin, of course, rallied slightly on Friday after reports broke and has risen 4% over the last sort of 7 days or so, while equities have generally increased as risk-on sentiment returns slightly. Now, of course, in one of my previous videos, I think it actually was my last video, I spoke about whether we'd actually see a cryptocurrency recovery throughout 2023. I urge you guys to check that out. Also, please make sure you are subscribed for any future videos. Really does help spread the reach of a lot of this stuff that I do put out. Regardless, it still is up in the air whether 2023 will be a sort of okay year or a fantastic year for equities and cryptocurrency. My bets are it'll be an okay year where we may see a slow upward march as we go through the months of 2023. I don't think we'll be seeing anything explosive. So that for me personally is a great time to be accumulating. If we do look at crypto bubbles over the last weeks or the last 7 days, we can see majority of the markets are in green territory at the moment. We can see old faithful Hedera there up nearly 13.5%. I saw Quant up here at the top, 6.2% up. There's some other projects in here that have done fairly well as well over the last week or so. And of course, if you are potentially in the green zone, you could look to take profits, or if we do swing back down towards where we've come from, it's a great opportunity to continue averaging into those positions if you are in it for the long term. Of course, nothing ever said on this channel is financial advice. You need to make sure you're doing your own research, knowing what you hold, and also the risks associated. Jumping into some different headlines then, there are some controversial things at large. Coinbase has just fired another 950 employees. And of course, if anyone looks at the Coinbase stock, obviously because it floated publicly in the last year or so, I can't remember exactly when, that's not been doing too well either, of course, due to the underlying price of the cryptocurrency assets. But this is obviously a bad sign for Coinbase in terms of the fact that it's laying off even more of its staff. And not only that, Gemini's co-founder has said the exchange and its 340,000 earn users have been defrauded by cryptocurrency lender Genesis. So Genesis and Gemini are very closely tied. So we can see it in an open letter issued to the digital currency group DCG. Gemini's co-founder Cameron Winklevoss has accused cryptocurrency lender Genesis of defrauding Gemini and its 340,000 users. The statement was posted to Twitter today with 3 pages of claims against the lender and its parent company. Within the statement, Winklevoss details various lies made against Gemini in regard to the fallout from the 𝗟𝗏𝗡 capital collapse. Moreover, actions were taken by Genesis in relation to that same collapse that was among the market's biggest stories last year. So Gemini has publicly accused Genesis of fraud. I'm presuming here, so we can see Genesis lent 1.36 billion of assets to 𝗟𝗏𝗡 capital. And I guess some of that was after the collateral was liquidated, Genesis indicated that it was left with a loss of at least 1.2 billion. The statement added that Genesis supported loans that equated to 8 billion, adding that the 𝗟𝗏𝗡's capital loss was roughly 15% of the loan off-book assets. Winklevoss then accuses DCG CEO Barry Silbert of pretending to fill the 1.2 billion hole from the Three Arrows capital collapse. Now, I'm not actually sure, I'm not going to read too much more into this as to whether Genesis is going to come under scrutiny from this potential defraudment. Gemini will come under scrutiny from this potential defraudment by Genesis and land them in hot water, because potentially they're having liquidity issues as well. I did actually speak about the potential for liquidity issues on Gemini sometime towards the end of last year. And again, I'll say the same thing that I said when there were issues with FTX, and we've seen issues with Binance in the past. If you are holding large amounts of crypto on a centralized exchange, think about seriously moving that across into a hot wallet or a hardware wallet, one which you own the actual keys, a non-custodial wallet where you have complete control. And of course, the old saying being, not your keys, not your crypto. At this point, it is better to be safe than sorry. I don't care what anyone says in terms of this exchange is not going to go down, this exchange, blah, blah, blah. Why on earth would you even take the risk if there is potential there, particularly when there is a very easy solution, which is to hold the cryptocurrency assets that you own in a wallet that you have complete control over? Mind blowing. Anyway, the World Bank is also warning of a global recession in 2023. They've put a down on some people's hopes, but like I said, that goes hand in hand with what I've seen from the S&P analysts, majority of the investment banks predicting only 4-5% increase of the S&P 500 over the course of the next year, and potentially that would be the same for cryptocurrencies due to the fact that we are in a looming recession from the economic factors that we have experienced over the last 12 months or so. The Binance CEO, on the flip side, says the exchange aims to hire 1,200 to 2,400 employees in 2023. So it's, growth within the industry. 2023 should be about making this space more comfortable for the average person to foster mass adoption. Completely agree with this. Making it feel safe through implementing features like a robust DID process just does that. KYC once and enjoy, explore all of Web3's offerings. And it looks like Binance is going to continue to expand. And off the back of that as well, Binance has gained court approval to acquire bankrupt crypto lender Voyager Digital. And of course, this has silenced a lot of those rumors about liquidity issues potentially being at Binance, because they are now going up and buying these bankrupt lenders and sort of acquiring the remainder of the assets that are within Voyager Digital. Again, some good stuff for the cryptocurrency space in general. Moving on to that Hedera related news then. Hbar NFTs has actually been trending for the last couple of days or so, which is fantastic to see. The scene continues to go from strength to strength, even if we are in the deepest depths of the current bear market, which of course we currently are. Don't forget as well, Dead Pixels themselves, Drop 4 is just around the corner. There isn't actually a finite or concrete release for that drop just yet, but make sure you guys are over in their Discord server. Of course, you can win a whitelist spot just by interacting on their server. They've got a really cool bespoke bot that they've built called the 𝗟𝗠𝗡. I have a dedicated video on the channel also talking about how that 𝗟𝗡𝗡 bot can earn you some free Hbar just for participating within the community. Fantastic team and a fantastic NFT project. One of the true OG blue chips that are on Hedera, and I cannot wait for Drop 4 to go live. Some more really good news to begin the year really for 2023. Hashpack Wallet. Hashpack has just launched its wallet application on iOS. So Apple devices can now install Hashpack natively as an application on their iPhones, iPads, whatever it may be. It's here. The Hashpack team has been working tirelessly to provide a seamless iOS mobile experience, and you can now download this. Due to the limitations of Apple's policies on NFTs and in-app transactions, some features have been changed slightly though. Removal of secure trades, so that's unfortunately not available inside the iOS application. Temporary removal of swaps, although that will be coming back soon. Changes to the decentralized application browser, manually browse decentralized applications, and temporary removal of Banksa and MoonPay, which is of course those on-ramps, which again will be coming back soon. We welcome any feedback from the community. We've worked hard to bring you the smoothest experience possible, but you should encounter any bugs, please let us know on Discord or Twitter. I've seen lots of different reports from those using this iOS application from the App Store saying that it's absolutely fantastic and they've not really experienced too many bugs. But of course, if you do experience it, reach out to the Hashpack team directly. Of course, they will never ask you for any kind of private key or seed phrase. If you get asked by that, it is of course a scammer, so be very careful as to what you are doing. However, you guys can now give this a go. And this does mean that Hashpack have completed the Holy Trinity. It's now available as a web application on Chromium-based browsers. It's available on the Android application or Google Store. And of course, it's on the Play Store for Apple or iOS devices now. So you should be able to set up and utilize Hashpack from any different device that you currently own, which is brilliant to see. And of course, there'll be more support and updates off the back of that as time goes on. I wanted to cover something as well, as many people may have experienced some weird stuff happening recently if you're interacting with any decentralized applications, any token claim processes, or even trying to use Zoo's marketplace. There has been a bit of an issue with the Hedera SDK. So certain decentralized applications on Hedera that were built with the legacy version of the Hedera JavaScript SDK, software development kit, are experiencing a temporary disruption. A gRPC web proxy for earlier versions of the SDK points to a node that is currently experiencing downtime. Hedera core engineers are working with the node operator to triage this issue and reconnect it. In addition, the team is working towards a long-term fix to ensure this does not happen again. Action required for developers in the meantime. As an immediate fix, you will need to update your application code to point to a new proxy instead. Please visit the Discord server to see code examples of how to update this within your application. No action is required by application users. Please follow this page at Hashgraph or visit the Hedera status page for the latest updates. So again, temporary disruption. Looks like it's an old version of the Hedera SDK. And obviously they're putting some mirrors in place in order to rectify this. Again, this happens on any particular network at scale. I already know SourceSwap has issued a hotfix, and so has Hashpack, and I believe Zoo's marketplace as well has issued some form of hotfix. And obviously it looks like Hedera are working behind the scenes to rectify this permanently without the need for any hotfixes going forward. But if any of your decentralized applications aren't currently functioning as intended, this may be the reason why. Right then, some of those breadcrumbs that I was talking about previously and in the run-up to Davos, or the World Economic Forum in Davos, graciously posted on Reddit by Jeep Top Down. So 0.010297172 is the Hedera wallet account that did fund the 𝗟𝗏𝗦 run in December. We'll be taking a look at that in a second if for any of those who missed it. It had roughly 75,000 Hbar originally. So that was how much Hbar was sat within the wallet to process all of those transactions. And again, I'll show you how big that was in a second. It also funded a handful of small accounts along the way with 500 to a few thousand Hbar. And those accounts also funded a few others. He's been keeping an eye on them. And today you can actually see that the account was funded with 2.3 million Hbar, which was only originally funded with 2,500 Hbar from the 𝗟𝗏𝗦 account. So potentially this could be 𝗟𝗏𝗦.io finally gearing up to go live on the Hedera mainnet after rigorous testing for months and months. And here is the transaction snapshot that you can see here. Just shy of 2.3 million Hbar was transferred here, $100,000 worth. And of course, why on earth would they need that much Hbar? Well, of course, that is to process the absolute ton of transactions that they'll be looking to do. Here is a snapshot on the yearly time range of Metrica for the transaction volume and TPS by service on the Hedera mainnet. And as we can see, we've kind of bounced around in this range, between 0 and let's say 40 transactions per second on average. Now, when, if I go back 3 months, does it appear? It does appear. During the sort of middle of November sort of time, we saw an absolute mammoth spike in the total number of transactions being processed. And this was due to the fact of 𝗟𝗏𝗦.io absolutely stress testing the mainnet for their use case to go live. And of course, this is Avery Dennison. And we saw literally hundreds of transactions per second. I'm pretty sure I've got screenshots somewhere of this actually going up into the thousands. It doesn't look like Metrica was able to capture that. But on the Hedera transaction site, we were seeing thousands of transactions being processed per second just by the 𝗟𝗏𝗦.io use case. And of course, the reason for them now transferring $100,000 of Hbar to their transaction-based account is, of course, to process transactions going forward throughout 2023. So it does speak to reason that potentially they will be doing some live demos or examples at the World Economic Forum. I don't know. Of course, this is me just guessing, but potentially doing some kind of demonstrations or whatever it may be to show their use case and the technical capability of Hedera Hashgraph and the mainnet. And then afterwards, or somewhere maybe within the next couple of weeks, fingers crossed, we will actually see 𝗟𝗏𝗦.io go live. And we will be seeing revolutionary numbers, sustained numbers of transactions per second compared to any other sort of blockchain, Hashgraph, whatever you want to call it, DLT in the space. And of course, this will be a great turning point as well for those enterprise use cases. We've also got rumors that Hbar and the Coupon Bureau should be going live at some point during this year. And this is, of course, again, as they were developing their use cases throughout the course of 2022. I cannot understate how long it takes in a corporate environment to actually fully roll out or fully develop end-to-end and roll out any particular new piece of technology or application or whatever it is a company is building. There is so much corporate red tape and regulation that needs to pass through, let alone the hierarchy within organizations themselves. This stuff does take time. And of course, many of us have found that out the hard way in terms of waiting for these use cases. But it does appear that we are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and we will have some really, really cool stuff going live on Hedera soon. Anyway, if you did enjoy this video, drop a like, leave a comment if you've got something to say. Make sure you're subscribed as well. You can also follow me over on Twitter, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.